So moving on then in Deleuze and Guattari's 1,000 Plateaus to Chapter 3. It's called 10,000 BC, The Geology of Morals, or Who Does the Earth Think It Is? And this is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult chapters in this book. And it's at this point I suspect that a lot of people who read Deleuze may think D&G may think better of it after they get to this chapter, because it's a bit of a struggle to get through, and it takes a while. It takes a great deal of patience to comprehend and understand it, largely because the chapter is a sort of compression of their entire cosmology. The whole thing is compressed here, and it's very dense and has to be read through very slowly. But basically what it is an analysis of the whole idea of the strata. The strata, as D&G put it, are acts of capture that capture flows, continua of intensities, that capture flows, singularities, particles, and organize them, capture them and organize them, and code them and territorialize them. It's a little bit like their earlier idea in Anti-Oedipus of the way that the state acts, and they'll talk about it in this book too, the way the state acts as an apparatus of capture that codes flows of all kind that move through it. In this case, it's a sort of vision of the Earth itself on the plane of organization, composed of all of these different strata that capture and organize flows, and that's the basic idea. There are three main strata that they discuss. There are a lot of strata, but the three main strata are the physico-chemical strata, the organic strata, and the anthropomorphic strata. Those are the three main ones. And each one of these strata has what they call a double articulation of content and expression on each one of these. And both content and expression are made up of forms and substances in both cases. So the distinction between content and expression is not just that of form and substances, since both has a form. Both of them have a form and a substance, form and a substance. And so what they'll want to do then in this chapter is to go into some detail about these strata and how it's basically an analysis of the plane of organization. I had said before basically that the rhizome idea was an equivalent of the plane of consistency, but in actual fact I've misrepresented it a bit, because what it really is it's analogous. It's functionally analogous in certain ways to the plane of consistency, but the plane of consistency is a much more complex thing than the rhizome. The rhizome is simply a means whereby multiplicities are connected with each other in a lateral way, and the comparison with the plane of consistency is that both have to do with the sort of realm between multiplicities. As they say, the plane of consistency is the exterior of all multiplicities. You can imagine it in your mind's eye as a kind of grid of almost like Waddington's creodes that flow and move with different intensities. The distinction that Deleuze had made in difference in repetition between the realm of intensivities and the realm of extensivities becomes, of course, in this book, the plane of consistency versus the plane of organization. So what happens then is that the plane of consistency is made up, it's unformed matter. Form and substance is alien to it. It's unformed matter, but not in a state of complete disorganization, because it's the realm of differential relations and continua of intensities of flows. The body without organs is a sort of destratified flow, backdrop, or flows of varying degrees of differential relations and intensities, upon which something that they introduce here called the abstract machine acts from the plane of consistency to organize and actualize matter, to bring forth from out of the body without organs those organs that will function as the material multiplicities relative to each stratum. So what we have then is that the plane of consistency is a realm of destratification, but it isn't just a realm of anarchy and lawlessness, as you would think at first glance. It's the realm where all the organizing ideas come from. Abstract machines correspond in 1,000 Plateaus to what have been the virtual ideas in difference and repetition. Each stratum is organized by a different abstract machine, and then the various substrata also have their own abstract machines. So an abstract machine basically is like, it's kind of like a Platonic form that's immanent and embedded in a stratum, where it functions to give a unity of composition to that particular stratum, in which case it's called an ecumenon, I suppose, because ecumeny means universal. It universally organizes the composition of that particular stratum. The abstract machine does. And it comes from the plane of consistency where it draws its diagram, its map. Another word for the plane of consistency is the planomenon. And the abstract machine, in a way, functions, it requires a body without organs in order to effectuate itself, and the machinic assemblages are what effectuate the directions given, as it were, the plan from the abstract machine onto the body without organs to construct the realm of flows within the strata, where everything is captured and organized. The relation between then the plane of consistency and the plane of organization is a little bit like the relation between the proverbial iron filings and the magnet that's down below, giving them form. The plane of consistency is the realm from which the abstract machines act to organize the realm of formed substances. Substances formed matter. The realm of forms and substances in the strata. They're organized from the plane of consistency. But everything that appears in the plane of consistency as well is also a realm of destratifications. Objects, things, flows can destratify from the various strata and appear next to each other and beside each other on the plane of consistency in a destratified way. Almost like what you get in a Salvador Dali painting. Salvador Dali is basically painting the plane of consistency, where you have all of these elements that have been decontextualized from their strata, broken off, and appear one beside each other. As they say in this text, black holes on the plane of consistency can rub up against genetic messages. Electrons can go crashing into languages. So from one point of view, there's this interesting duality about the plane of consistency, such that from one point of view it appears to be anarchic, but also from the other point of view it's where the organizing ideas are, the abstract machines that confer order and organization within the realm of the various strata. And what effectuates this are the various machinic assemblages. The machinic assemblages effectuate the abstract machine within their various strata. The machinic assemblages are, on the one hand, inner strata. They're located, as it were, between the strata because they determine the relationship of one stratum to a next. For example, they say that one stratum can become the substratum of another strata. The way, let's say, the prebiotic soup as an exterior milieu becomes the interior milieu of the organic stratum. So it's folded up inside of it. And that's all determined by the machinic assemblages, which take out, they sort of effectuate the will of the abstract machines and hold everything together. The machinic assemblages do. Another example of a machinic assemblage on a cultural level would be the nomadic war machine. That's a type of machinic assemblage. The state apparatus is another type of machinic assemblage. The relationship of different proteins to the cells it's machinic assemblages, you get the idea. It's a kind of glue that holds everything together, but it can't do it randomly. It requires the abstract machines from the plane of consistency to draw the diagrams that organize it, and it requires the body without organs to provide it with the potentialities of the various flows in order to realize it. So that's how all of this sort of hangs together. So starting with the level of, they give an initial example where they start with the geological stratum that's within the physicochemical stratum, and they say that each one of these strata then has a differing content and expression. The content is the process of formation of something, where certain molecular particles are chosen out from flows. They're chosen out and they're connected together as statistical aggregates. So you have there again form and substance. The substance are the statistical aggregates connected together. The form are the particular molecules that are chosen. And this is at the molecular level, and it's the level of content. Then at the level of expression, you have the finished product. You have a stable product that is formed at the level of expression. And you have molar aggregates that have gathered these molecules up together and formed them into something stable. In the realm of geology, we have the process of sedimentation, which would correspond to the first articulation, the realm of the selection of the molecules and their organization into statistical aggregates. Then the expression is the stable form, the molar aggregate, the stable form as the particular rock that has been formed from this process. So that's the double articulation, the double pincher, which is why they have the picture of the lobster at the beginning of this chapter with the two claws. That's the double articulation idea, that each one of these strata has a double articulation of both expression and content. And so that's at the geological level. Then they move up to a discussion of the organic level, where at the level of morphogenesis, you find the same double articulation again there in the molecular processes that are involved in the way, for example, protein fibers are formed out of molecules, and then in the level of expression, the second articulation, they're folded together. So always at the second articulation, the level of expression, you have processes of morphogenetic folding. Things are folded together to create larger and larger things. So this process of folding that marks the second pincher of the double pincher of the content expression process is one of Deleuze's unique contributions to this whole process. Then he says, he talks about Geoffrey Saint-Hilaire's idea of the animal, where Saint-Hilaire had basically said that all animals are manifestations of a single ground plan, an animal. We had already seen this in my earlier video discussions of Goethe, where the animal can generate other animals simply by elongating, stretching, and folding it. For example, a vertebrate can give rise to a cephalopod by simply folding it in half. According to Geoffrey Saint-Hilaire, if you fold it in half so that the head is near the feet, you get a squid, basically a cephalopod. So the animal is the abstract machine, D&G say, that gives the unity of composition to this level of organization, the organic animal level. And so that becomes the abstract machine for that level. I think they said the abstract machine for the physical-chemical level was energy. That functions as the abstract machine that gives the unity of composition to that level. Then moving on to the next level, the anthropomorphic level. This is what they call the alloplastic level, and alloplastic simply means non-biological materials, where the content is alloplastic, and this is the hand-tool relation on the one hand, where the expression has to do with face and gesture, with semiotics. So you have the double articulation at the human level expressing itself in terms of the distinction between the pragmatic realm of hands and tools and the semiotic realm of sign regimes. That they'll get into the differing sign regimes in the later chapters. And then at the human level, though, at the anthropomorphic level, the abstract machine is, of course, the machine. You get a semiotic machine organizing the expression content at the linguistic level, as well as the concrete machinic assemblages that organize our tools and technology. The human level is the most deterritorialized out of all of these levels. It's the one where the whole human way of life is based on deterritorialization, starting from the anatomy. The hand is a deterritorialized paw that is now used for the making of tools. Lips, tongue, and teeth were originally territorialized for food and for the sucking of the breast. Now they become re-territorialized for the usage of language. And even the exterior milieu of the human world is also deterritorialized. The steppe is a deterritorialization from the forest, and it's on the steppe that the first technology is invented with the domestication of fire and all the new tools that come into being from that point on. So there's a great degree to which the human world is a deterritorialized world, more deterritorialized than any of these other levels on these strata. And so that's the basic upshot of this chapter in a very tight, quick, compressed nutshell. There's a lot in the chapter, and it takes a long time to go through, but that gives you the main idea. And what they want to avoid is this idea that we have already gone through with Spengler and Gebser and Goethe and all these other philosophers, is that this process is in any way a cosmic evolutionary process. They completely deny that. One level of organization, they believe, is not any more organized than any other level, and the strata can interpenetrate. One stratum can become, as we've seen, the substratum of another strata. They all interpenetrate and interweave in such a way that it cannot be said that one stratum is superior or more developed than another. So they completely deny that they're updating basically here. This is a postmodern version of the old great chain of being, is in any way applicable to a cosmic model of evolution in any way, shape, or form. So they completely deny that. So this is the postmodern version, what you get with the great chain of being, where you get the admission of these hierarchies, but done in such a way that one level is no better than the one that comes beneath or before it. Then there's the other idea too, is that the destratification processes that occur in the human world at the anthropomorphic level. This is the one level where certain lines of flight that are traced in the deterritorialization processes. When a deterritorialization takes place, it traces out a line of flight through a new creative becoming into something. Humans have a propensity for a becoming animal as one line of flight, and this becoming animal traces down across into another stratum below, the organic stratum, such that the human anthropomorphic stratum can spill over into the other strata and become destratified. And the destratification is dangerous. It can become so dangerous that it can go all the way down to the body without organs at the plane of consistency, and you can wind up with something like cancer. Cancer is an eruption of the physico-chemical world of the physico-chemical stratum in